What She Said
with Kate Wheeler, Christine Bentley, and Sharon Caddy
on Canada Talks.
Welcome back to What She Said. We are in studio today, and we are joined by Angel Morgan, who is a psychic, a TV host, and an animal communicator. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
Now, I've often thought my dogs were crazy, and I know I talk to the animals, but can I actually communicate with them?
Yeah, you know what? It's a natural part of who we are. Everyone does it. And children do it very easily and effortlessly. And we encourage it because they're children. From the ages of 0 to 7, we allow our kids to play and imagine. What we don't realize is a lot of the times they're not imagining it. They're actually speaking with animals. And there are 4 ways to do it: mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual. And it's actually very simple. It's not rocket science, or else I wouldn't be doing it. But we have a lot of fun talking to animals, and I've been extremely fortunate in the teachers that I've had, the animals that I've spoken with, and the situations I've come across in order to help.
Now, I've got a question when it comes to that.
Yes.
I think people have an easier time dealing with the idea of communicating with people either in their current circumstance or with departed.
Yes.
But when we speak about animals and you're communicating, how are you getting messaging when it's nonverbal in the terms of language?
Well, if you really think about human beings, right? We get feelings from people. We look at body language. When you walk into a room, you either know you like a person or you don't. That first instinct. It's the same thing with animals. You know, a lot of psychics will come to me and go, well, how can you read people and animals? Well, the reality is energy is energy. And if you think of yourself as a computer, my energy, my computer and your computer are connecting. You download information, I download information. The only difference is I can read it.
Right.
So these animals are giving us information emotionally, mentally, through pictures and what have you, emotionally through emotions. Physically, that's the obvious one: sit, stay, what have you. And on spirit level is when an animal is not in your presence or passed over. I'm one of those fortunate animal communicators where I actually also work with the Native Aboriginal path and South American path, and I work with animal totems, so I can actually see totems as well. I have to ask you, Sharon, you have a cat?
I do.
Okay, because when I was out sitting there, it was really weird. They kept telling me that the person to my left who was going to wear white, and I thought, oh God, please let one of them being wear white. Oh God, please. And you're wearing a white jacket, so I automatically knew that you had a cat because they showed me that. And we haven't spoken before, and I know that. Now, is your cat gray?
Gray and white.
Okay, good. Because that cat is a little squirrely.
That cat is named after my children.
It is actually.
That's hilarious. Yeah, so I really like your cat, and your cat is kind of going, oh my God, who are you? What are you? So that's the first thing that happens with animal communication is a communicator will tap into the animal, or the animal will tap into the communicator. And because they've never been communicated with before, they go, oh, wow, who are you? Yeah. And like with people, you introduce yourself, right? So on a mental level, I kind of went, okay, well, this is who I am. And I can see the animal. That's how I knew it was gray. I think it's a male, correct? Oh, this is a female. Okay, it comes off as very male, and that's the energy we project. Because sometimes when a person walks into a room, you go, oh my God, that's a very male female or a very female male. So we're not perfect as communicators or psychics or that kind of thing. But with animals, I just find that I really love working with them, so it's easy for me to talk to them. And I've always been like that.
Does she like my dog?
I think your animals tolerate each other. They do like each other, but sometimes your dog kind of makes your cat go, I'm not sure what to do with this. And I also get the sense that all I keep seeing with your cat, and unfortunately we're on radio, well, fortunately we're on radio, but I can't show what I'm seeing, but the cat kind of runs to one side, runs to the other side.
Oh yeah.
You know, and goes, I don't quite know. So there's a bit of confusion and scatteredness in this cat. But the cat also keeps showing me a small piece of like a treat or something like that, and it almost looks like a meat. But I'm not sure if it is, but it's a small square.
Yeah, okay.
She
likes her treats.
Yeah. And she's playing with it almost like a mouse, you know, and it's really interesting, but she's kind of curious as to what is this thing? So there's something new that you gave her that she still doesn't quite understand or know. Did you just give her something new recently, like a new treat or a new food?
I'm always giving her new food. So,
Yeah, because she's very curious. She's like, I don't get it. I don't know what it is, but it smells really good. She really loves you. She has. I keep seeing her kind of come up to you, and and she's really a comfort in your downtimes.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, she's really your heart and soul. This
she's
cat.
a
This
good
is
cat.
that special animal.
Yep,
Right? We
and
all have one.
She's named after her kids. So there you go.
Yeah. So okay, what's that about?
Her kids love
They were
my
little.
kids.
And they were little back then. And
Yeah, they were little, and it was just, and it was
That's
a good
awesome.
name. So you pick up about her cat, but you don't pick up about any other animals with us?
Yeah, it's really interesting because they really focused on this cat because this cat needed to come through. So sometimes it's about need. Now, do you have a dog?
Oh yeah.
You do. Okay, you have 2 dogs, correct?
No, I have a dog and a cat, but a cat that thinks it's a dog.
Okay, well that would make sense then. Yeah, the cat thinks it's a big dog.
The cat is a big cat.
Yeah, I can see your cat. I like your cat. I like your dog. Your dog is actually more submissive than the cat is.
Yep.
Yeah, but I like that because it makes for a good dynamic because this cat wouldn't work in a situation. You can't have 2 alphas. So the dog is okay with making the cat the alpha.
They
This is a
curl up,
very
they
loving
sleep
family. You have a
together.
really loving family. I really like your family. And this is what's nice about communicating. It jumps from human to animal for me sometimes. Sometimes it's communication, but then it changes. I really love the energy of your family. It's very open. It's very sporty. It's kind of a Freedom 55 kind of thing where you guys have that, hey, everything's good.
Yeah,
We're
I know
just
you're
moving
picking up her,
forward.
not me.
No, you're just always on the go. You're just like, I can't even keep up with your thoughts.
My kids give me a hard time because I talk to the dog, and I just look at them and I say, worry about it when the dog starts answering back.
I was going to say,
okay?
though, if
No.
my dog could talk, I'd be in so much trouble with so many people.
You hit on a really interesting thing because if you want to know anything about a family, talk to the animal. I know things I really should not know. But it is a lot of fun. I have to admit that talking to animals is probably one of the most amazing parts of my work. And what's really funny is when I started, I actually went into a class to disprove it. Because I thought to myself, there's got to be a limitation somewhere. And now I realize the only limitation we have in our lives is the ones we place on ourselves. And it was funny because I'd gone to an open house and everybody was signing these books. So I thought, I'll be polite. Week later, I get this email going, hey, are you coming to this class? I'm like, no. And my friend goes, oh, yes, you are, because I'm going. So I went to disprove it. And by the end of it, I was actually one of the 2 people, there were about 6 or 7 of us, who decided to continue. And here I am today.
Cool.
So we are talking with Angel Morgan, a TV host, psychic, animal communicator, energy healer. And it's energy that you say you pick up. If anybody has any questions, they can call in. And the number is
1-855-958-8255.
Okay. If they have questions now. But you're saying also that you can help people do it with their own animals. How would you go about that?
I actually teach it. And by the time I finish, teaching the class, people are able to speak with their animals because it's something that we actually do all the time. We're just not doing it in awareness. So I'm actually not teaching how to do it so much as becoming aware that you are doing it, right? And like I said, there are 4 levels and of communication. And when people start to realize, oh, this is not hard at all, then they start to have fun with it. And then they start to open up and they start to realize, oh, if I can read an animal, I can read a person. So I also teach how to develop your psychic abilities with people as well. I teach a 2-hour class, and in the last hour, we actually practice it, and people who've never done it before are accurately reading.
Well, then maybe that's what I do. I mean, I've always had, my dog's a Labrador. I've always had Labradors. And because I feel some kind of empathy with that animal.
You hit it on the nose. It's empathic. It's all about feel. And you are creatives, so creatives are going to be more sensitive. And the reality is you've always loved animals. Did you have horses or something at some point, or did you? Because I keep seeing you around
My great
horses.
aunt did when I had horses when I was little, but that was
But you were
long
around
time
them?
ago.
But you were around them, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, because I keep seeing that. You could be a horse whisperer. You've always been sensitive to animals. Animals have always been a huge part of your life. And I really like that. And the reality is, people go, you talk to animals? And I go, yes. And they go, you're crazy. And I say, yes. Yes, I enjoy that. Thank
I
you.
know when Bella, this is our current dog, she's getting older now, and I know I can tell, like when we're walking, she's like, "This is enough. We need to turn around and go home."
Because your animal's telling you that.
Yeah, and it's not just because she starts to limp or something. Like this morning, I thought it was too long a walk yesterday. You don't want to do the full half hour, 20 minutes is going to be enough for you this morning.
And you feel
she's
it.
And she's happy. Yeah. But when she comes and sits, when she sits in a certain way, it's like, you need to go out. You need what's wrong. There's no water in your bowl. Like I can usually tell what it is that she's trying to tell me.
But it also goes further with you, because while you're walking, she may not be giving an indication, but all of a sudden you get a sense of maybe we should stop now, or maybe we should, like with you, it's very much about feel. You're very connected, and you're really connected to Bella, especially emotionally. And that emotional connection allows you to pick up on what she needs before she shows you on a physical level. It might be like a split second before, but you really pick up on it, and you're so in tune. I'm sorry, you have a son as well?
No, 2 daughters.
2 daughters? Oh, okay. Your older one is very much like you, very assertive. Yeah. She comes off a little bit as male, but I like her. But she's a lot like you. And you, with her, have that same connection. You just know without knowing. Or no, I should say no without.
She knows stuff, and it's our favorite story ever. Yeah. Okay, this is like 17 years ago, and I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I've probably at the lowest weight I'd been in a while. I'm wearing a new suit. I'm walking through the CTV.
You look fabulous.
I'm walking through the CTV newsroom, and she goes, "You're pregnant."
Yeah.
And I said, "No." And literally it was a week or 2 weeks later, and I'd been to the doctor with my daughter other daughter for something, and I found out I was, and I said to her, like, you're right.
Yeah.
And I had no inkling at that point.
Yeah, and that's called the knowing, right? And it's a very European thing. We call it the knowing. And the little old Italian nonnas, and my family's Maltese, so the nonnas, we have that knowing. The phone's going to ring just before it does, or someone's going to call, or someone's sick or is going to pass, or what have you. You have that very innately in you.
Well, the worst part of that whole thing was I had to keep it quiet for 3 months.
Oh yeah, and now that's how we have to end this part of the segment. Is that I finally, it was 9 weeks later. Okay, 9 weeks. Every week she said, "Can I tell anybody?" I said, "No." 9 weeks later, I pull her aside in the makeup room. I said, "Kate, you can tell people now." So she walks into the makeup room and says, "I have an announcement to make." And everyone goes, "Oh, what?" She goes, "I kept a secret for 9 weeks." Oh, and she's pregnant.
Oh, that's stupid. I was just going to say that. You kept a secret, and I don't even know you. That's so funny. That's hilarious. Thank you so much. You guys are
moment.
great.
It's the best moment. I hope you can stick around for a few minutes more. We got more we can chat about. This is so much fun.
Oh, I'd love to. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, we will continue with Angel Morgan when we come back. This is What She Said on Sirius XM 167 Canada Talks.
You're listening to What She Said on Canada Talks.
Sharon, Caddy, Kate Wheeler, and our guest Angel Morgan in studio on What She Said. Angel is a TV host, a psychic, an animal communicator, an energy healer, and we're learning about how we can harness this power within ourselves.
Yeah, and that's really important that you said that, because it is very empowering, and that's what this is all about. Connecting to the animal kingdom is not just about talking to animals. It's about connecting to who we are. It's about connecting to the earth. It's about connecting to energy. Like when I do readings, it's not just about talking to dead people. Right. It really is about healing. Anybody who leaves, I want to make sure that they're empowered in some way. So when I teach people how to talk to animals, I've taught them how to connect to a part of themselves that's very deep and primal.
What is exactly an animal totem? Explain that.
An animal totem is an energy that works with you and is a part of you. So if you think of a totem pole, and as Canadians, we know what that means, and there are 4 animals. And you have your spirit animal, the animal you would turn into if you were an animal, a power animal where you draw your power from, your animal guide, the one who guides you through your life when you need information, and the animal energy. And that will change throughout your life every 6 months, 8 months, sometimes a year or 2 years. That's the one that's helping you through whatever phase you're going through. So to give you an example, my spirit animal is a snake, because I help people to release their burdens, step into their new skins. My power animal is the jaguar, or the panther. My guide is the wolf, and my animal energy that I'm working with right now is the elephant. And the elephant is about my own inner sacredness. and finding that and helping others find that as well.
So how do you find out what your animal totem is?
Well, for me, I'm very fortunate. I can see that in people. For you, Sharon, it's bear medicine. And bear is one of the most amazing ones to have because it's about showing your strength and your leadership through your heart. So if you were to transform into an animal, you'd be a mama grizzly. Ooh. And it's really neat because that means that wherever you go, this is the medicine you have to offer others. You get to teach them just by who you are how to follow your heart, which makes sense with the show that you have. Yes. And what's really interesting with you is it's not quite one.
I'm scared.
You should be. No, actually, it's butterfly.
Oh,
and the butterfly is change. You help people change in the most beautiful of ways. You help them to. They're showing me that you're helping people to transform in gentle ways because we don't tend to do that, right? When we see change, we get very scared, and you help people go, no, it's okay. I'll help you rebirth. I'll help you change. I'll help you transform. And you're really good at that. You would have made a great kindergarten teacher.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how good I am. I actually, I always said, like, with little children, it's like I'm better when they're older, just a little bit.
You were good
older.
when they were little.
I'm not as good as Lynn. Lynn works out marketing. I mean, by the time all Lynn's kids went to school, they knew pretty much everything. They had the alphabet. They were reading. I work better with, I think, people I can talk to, and I work better one-on-one.
But again, it goes back to your intuitive ability, right? Because children are so innocent and they're so free in how they feel. You would connect to them on an empathic level, right? So if you had become, let's say, a daycare worker or you work with kids, because you are really good with kids, you're not giving yourself enough credit. The reality is you would have honed that even more, and that would have become a really big part of who you are. You're actually really good with it. I can feel that in your heart. It's gold.
Well, I let kids come to me rather than I go
and
to
they
kids.
do.
Yeah, they
and
do.
they do too. Kids really, really connect with you.
But you mentioned that we go through phases and things change. So I haven't always been a bear?
No, your spirit animal will always stay the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the spirit animal, the power animal, and the guide will always be the same.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
It's the animal energy, the fourth one on the totem, that will change with you.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was at Grail Springs. It's a spa retreat kind of place, and they had this, and it was handing out cards, like the animal spirit cards.
Right, yes.
And I kept on going, I'm not getting a card. And they said, wait, it will come. But it was almost like there was none left. And then the one I got was the bumblebee, which is my favorite image. Yeah. And I started to laugh because it was all about honey, making honey in the bees.
You used to wear a little bee pin.
I have three little bees up there.
And and the bee is a wonderful one too because it reminds you not to work so hard. Like do the work, but make sure that you sip the honey of it, right? And it's really interesting because that's your power animal. So the bee is actually part of your totem. And it's usually one that's connected to
butterflies and bees.
Bees and butterflies.
Oh, I needed some birds and I could have a little fun.
Well, just so you know, too, like I realized, too, that we're on YouTube. A lot of people are probably seeing me do this with my fingers. Yeah. This is called muscle testing. I'm quirky, but I want to make sure people know that I'm, not that quirky. This is muscle testing. If I doubt myself or I need more information, I can go into my own DNA, my own spirit, and I can ask, and I go yes or no. And that's
you are putting. We'll just describe this for listeners. You're putting your second finger on top of your first nail.
That's right, and I'm pressing down. And if it's lax, that's a no, and if it's tight, that's a yes. Yeah, and you really have to trust, right? You have to trust and breathe. And breathing is the key to everything in my work. Breathing and water, because there are certain biological things that happen with us. The water keeps us hydrated, and that helps us channel as well. But breathing, everything, the South Americans believe everything comes from the breath, the first breath, the last breath. So the more we breathe, and it doesn't have to be yogic breathing, just allowing our body to do what we do, we connect. So as we're being quiet and as we're breathing, the information will come. And that's how you connect to animals. That's how you speak to animals, is you become quiet. You can ask a question, you just become really quiet, and then you'll get an image, and you'll get a thought, or you'll get a feeling. And the trick is not dismissing it, right? Because that's what we do. We get psychic experiences all the time. But then we dismiss it. Oh, I didn't hear that, or I didn't see that, or it was just the wind.
So how do you learn to recognize those?
Practice. I am extremely blessed. Every day I get people to work with. I have wonderful opportunities like what she said and meeting you guys. So it's a muscle. John Edward, the psychic, who is someone I really model myself after, he had a show in the States. He said once, and I remember picking that up, that, being a psychic, it's a muscle, right? You have to work it. You have to be able, because as you work, you start to realize and be able to discern what's my imagination and what's actual psychic experience.
Now, when someone comes to you for a reading, whether it's for themselves or their pets or their entire existence, let's put it that way, when someone goes for a reading, what should they be going for? What should be their motivation to go? I mean, anyone can go to someone that's going to say to them, you're going to marry Prince Charming and have $1 million. But
Right.
that's not a motivation. Why
No.
should people come for a reading?
A lot of people have different motivations for coming, but I think my partner said it the best. One day we were in the car, and he said, I think I know why people come to you. And I said, really? I said, why? And I'm thinking, I'm not sure myself sometimes. And he goes, closure. And I went, that makes sense, because everybody is looking for answers. So whether the closure is I'm not going to win $1 million, or I am, or I'm going to meet Prince Charming and this is what he looks like, or that's what she looks like, it's that sense of going away and feeling like, okay, everything in my world is balanced, right? So they're looking for a sense of balance. They're just looking for a sense of peace. That's what a lot of people will come in not even knowing what they're looking for, right? They come in and they sit and they go, I'm open. And all of a sudden their mother will come in, or a piece of information from the past that they didn't even realize they need to deal with will come up, and we'll talk about it. And by the end they'll be going, oh my God, that's exactly what I needed. That's exactly the information that I was hoping to get, and I didn't even realize it.
So walking into the room open, though, is probably the best
Yeah,
approach.
It is, but the majority of people who come in are going to be open, or you wouldn't be there.
That's true.
Some people do come in to try and test me, but at that point, I kind of go, well, I'm the messenger. I'm going to give you the information. Whether or not you accept it, that's your choice.
We have a caller on the line.
yeah.
Panda Cat from San Diego.
Sandy.
Hello.
Hi. What would you like to ask Angel Morgan?
Oh, I would just like to ask, I have 3 pets, and I'm wondering if they're happy.
Is
If
one of your
they-
pets a bird?
No.
Okay, because I keep seeing a canary around you. I'm just wondering, okay, that's your spirit animal. So you have more than just the 3 pets around you. There are a lot of animals around you. So one of your animals is a dog. And do you have 2 dogs and a cat?
I have 2 cats and a dog.
2 cats and a dog. Okay. What is it? Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're all really content, because it doesn't feel like they need to say anything. There's one cat that just kind of sits there like a king and just kind of moves the tail, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
I do
and the
have a
dog
cat
doesn't
like
care.
that.
Dog's happy-go-lucky, wants to please you. There are no health issues around these animals. I really, really like it. There's the one cat that you have that's a little nervous, that kind of looks at the other 2 and goes, am I doing the right thing? Is this the right, is that, outside of that, I feel like everybody is good. The dog, always want to make sure everybody's okay. Are you okay? Are you good? You're good? Okay, I'm good. And then he walks away.
Yeah,
The
that's
cats
exactly
seem
what it's
fine.
like.
Sometimes they're at each other, but that's okay. Is there anything specific you'd like to know about your animals?
No, I just want to make sure that they're happy and they're,
Yeah.
they're living good lives, and they're
They
not.
are. They absolutely love. You have a great dynamic. You've really used your intuition in finding these animals, because I don't think I've ever felt such a calm or peaceful dynamic between a dog and 2 cats. And what's really funny is the one who is more the alpha cat kind of looks at the other cat and goes, "Why? Why did you bring this cat into my life?" But the cat's fine with it. These animals are good. Yeah, I really like them, and I think you've done a great job in finding them, and that's really important too. Finding a dynamic that works, and that's about being intuitive. That's animal communications in itself, is really understanding the needs of your animals and what to bring in or not bring in, because a lot of animals need to be alone, right? And some animals do need a herd, so to speak. So you've done a great job. You've done a really, really wonderful job.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. Thank you so much.
No,
Okay,
thank you.
thanks for calling, Panda Cat.
All right. Bye-bye.
As our animals come to the end of our lives, Sharon's
My dog is
and mine's
he's
getting there.
He's older. He's got some health things going on, but he seems content right now. So we're keeping him around a little bit longer.
So, but how can we tell that it's best,
That it's time.
that it's time or best for the animal, because there's so much of our own emotion connected
Right.
with the animal?
That's a really good question. A lot of times the animals themselves will show you. The animals themselves will let you know. Again, people think because you're psychic, it's only about spirit and what you don't see. But when your animal looks at you and you know that they're in pain or they want to be put down or what have you, you're going to know, you're going to feel it. But I mean, if worse comes to worse, that's what an animal communicator is for. You know, part of our job is to help with transition. Part of our job is to come in and comfort the humans. It's not just about the animal, it's about the connection with your family, right? Because they are our furry families. So when these things come about, a lot of even vets will call an animal communicator and say, you know what, come in and let's take a look at what's going on. And from there we do talk about it.
Yeah. Well, you all have to take the emotions off the table at some point.
And the communicator can be less detached in that regard, right? It's we become the interpreters, we become the comforters, sometimes we become the counselors, because sometimes the people just need to vent, the families, and the animal will need to you know, how many times have people called and say, what is my animal thinking? Do they want to? And how many times has the animal said, you know what, it hurts too much. Yeah. It's time. Like, they'll say it themselves. You know, it's amazing how intelligent our animals are. It's amazing how much they can communicate to us if we just listen. And listening sometimes just might mean let's bring somebody in to play the go-between, to mediate.
Wow.
Angel Morgan, it's been absolutely fascinating talking with you. Thank you so much for coming in.
It's been fantastic. Thank you for having me.
And when we come back, another transformation with the wow factor. And Margaret Wallace Duffy comes in to tell us what she's on about now. Yes. Stay with us here at Sirius XM Canada Talks 167.